For this makeup you'll need a mould, a silicone such as Platsil Gel-10, Deadener, silicone pigments. I have yellow, brown, white and flesh, disposable cups, tongue depressors, non-latex gloves, a metal filling blade or something to scrape with, cotton tips, Q-tips, whatever you call them, and a digital scale. So first of all, you want to put something on the mold to help it to release. You can use a release spray. I'm just using Vaseline here because it's the easiest thing. So you put a layer of Vaseline over the top, leave it to soak for a couple of minutes, and then you're going to get a tissue and wipe away a lot of the excess Vaseline. So the silicone needs to be encapsulated in a ball cap plastic. There's several different kinds, but my favourite kind to use is Moulds Super Baldiez because it is thinned with and blended out with 99% isopropyl alcohol, which I find to be better to use on skin than acetone because it's a little bit less irritating, and just I have a lot of isopropyl alcohol, so it's easy. So my way of applying it for this is I diluted it with isopropyl alcohol, about 50% of each, 50-50, and I'm going to use a brush and I'm going to brush it over the entire mould, leave it to dry. I'm going to do that for 3 times, so I have 3 layers of the Super Baldiez. And again, I'm going to start with Platsil Gel-10A. Platsil Gel-10B with a fresh tongue decompressor. I'm going to use the Deadener. Just going to do about the same amount for this, maybe a little bit more. Because that's a small amount, it's kind of rough ball in it. Is that a thing? Rough? I don't know. I'm going to use it. It's going to be a thing. Alright, now I'm going to add a little bit of skin color. Put a drop of white in. I put very small amounts of brown and yellow, so I'm going to first put it onto like a tile or a palette or something. Whoop. Brown. Just like that everywhere. Okay, and then dip it in. Just get a very small amount of yellow in there. Can do a bit more yellow. Add a little bit of brown. And because the silicone pigments are so pigmented, it's kind of easy to put too much in, so I try really hard just to put a little bit in at a time, so you don't ruin the whole batch. Put a little bit more yellow. I think that colour looks pretty good. And I'm going to concentrate it just on the raised area down the centre. This is a really messy job that I've just done. I'm going to just push this against the edge here. Just collect any of the excess silicone. You can redeposit it on top. So I'm going to put this in front of the heater to help speed up the cure, and I'm going to keep an eye on it and keep wiping off when it bleeds over, like I'll have to wipe that one off again. So I will give you this information just in case you're not aware of it already. So silicone works, it's like a chemical reaction. Silicone has two parts, part A and part B, and when you mix them together they cure. So when you're using silicone, you want to make sure that they don't ever touch or meet. So you're going to wear gloves to protect your hands from it. If you get silicone on your hands, it's like just a total disaster trying to get it off. So you're going to use like a different wooden stick to put silicone part A into the cup, and then a fresh clean one to put silicone part B into the cup so they don't cross-contaminate each other. I'm going to put about 20 grams of part A and 20 grams of part B, because you do equal amounts of both by weight or by volume, because they weigh the same. And then I'm going to put, so Deadener is where it can be adjusted depending on how soft you want the mixture to be. And so for this neck one, I'm going to put, so it's about 40 grams total of the silicone. So I'm going to put about 40 grams as well of the Deadener in there. So it's about 200% Deadener. And afterwards that's put in, I'm going to put in some of my flesh tone silicone pigment, and you want to make sure that you have enough so that it's not too translucent, because skin naturally is translucent. You can see the veins through the thinner parts, but it's not so translucent that you can see everything, so you've got to try and adjust the amount of pigment that you put in so it looks the most realistic. Okay, and then to pour it into the moulds, it's you want to have enough so that you can like scrape off a clean line. So you're going to overload the moulds, and so I find that the 80 grams or so that we made is a really good amount for both of these. So you're going to overload the moulds, and you're going to use like a flat-edged utensil. So I find these flexible metal filling knives like really good. I got them from Bunnings, but from a hardware store they're pretty cheap. I think this one was $2. And you're going to go over it in one direction. So you want to press like firmly, but not firm enough that it's going to like rip off the cap plastic you've already put down. So you're going to scrape off. In one direction, and then I usually wipe it and do a second direction just to make sure that there is this really nice like gradient, a really nice thin edge around the silicone. That's just ball cap plastic, because that's what's going to be blended out, and that's what's going to have the best edges. And so once this is cured, it usually takes about half an hour. Sometimes I put it underneath the heater because it will help it cure faster. You're going to use baby powder, and you're going to baby powder the back of it. And then I'm going to use a soft brush and baby powder to gently pull the mould, to gently pull the silicone piece out of the mould.